I'm Ricc Rollins, and this is Going Places. Don't you want to come along? Let's go. I'm Ricc Rollins, and welcome to this edition of Going Places. I hope your morning's amazing. Here's what's coming up on today's show. Lauren Gate, the outdoorsy diva, returns to talk with us about the food of Iceland. We'll talk with Dr. Nabuki about adopting a senior pet. Dr. Ari Saylor talks to us about adoption because this is National Adoption Month. We'll also talk with Dr. Tracy Thompson about diabetes and the holidays, as this is also National Diabetes Awareness Month. All of this and more coming up on this edition of Going Places. You don't want to miss it. And it starts right now. Look who's back. It's the outdoorsy diva herself. Girl, let me tell you, people have been asking, when are we going to book the Going Places trip to the tour of Iceland? They have loved every single episode. Folks from Atlanta, folks from Dallas, folks from DC are saying, if Lauren Gay says we're going, we want to know about it, we want to go.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. It's such a beautiful place. More people need to explore it for sure.
So what was your favorite of all on your escapades, your adventures in the Icelandic beauty thereof?
Sky Lagoon was like heaven.
That was
And
amazing.
that was amazing. And then of course the waterfall, the Skolfoss waterfall with the rainbow. I mean, that was unreal.
I mean, that was majestic. That really grabbed me. I had to go back and watch that video a couple of times. Really good. So now we've seen the beauty. I hear that there's another part of Iceland that folks don't need to sleep on. And what's that?
That's the food. I know Nordic countries get a bad rep about food, right? We think fermented shark and pickled duck eggs, like just weird things to us, not weird to the people that eat it, right? But I had some great meals in Iceland, and I was actually worried about what I was going to eat. I mean, I found some really good things to eat on the trip.
Was there any soul food? No, I'm just asking.
I did not find soul food, but I did find a place called the Bastard Brew and Food. It was recommended by my tour guide. They
Okay.
had amazing burgers and beers, like really good, and the vibe was cool. They were playing like hip hop. I actually saw quite a few other Black travelers and people, residents who live there at this spot. So I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah.
Ask any of them how they chose or stumbled upon Iceland to be their residents?
Yeah, I did. A lot of them are from African countries, a lot from the UK, and work. You know, they found work, had jobs that brought them there.
That makes sense. Okay, so of all the meals, what was your absolute favorite?
That's a tough question. So my favorite, I think, was at a restaurant called the Old Iceland Restaurant. It's on that main strip. And I had this cod fillet dinner. And it was like a a grilled cod fillet on top of this bed of like potatoes and root vegetables, and the presentation is lovely and it was delicious. And the same restaurant, I also had a meat soup, which is a very traditional Iceland dish, and it's lamb. So they
Okay.
eat a lot of lamb in Iceland, like a lot. You're gonna see sheep all over the place as you drive through the countryside, and it was delicious. Plus, it had cooled off. It was cold, so it was hearty. So that whole meal was really good. I also had a rhubarb cake there because rhubarb is one of the vegetables that like grow wild there.
I don't know about that, okay, but I'm gonna take your word on that. I'm gonna take your word on that. So, my other question is, what'd you bring me?
Well, I wish I could have brought you an Icelandic hot dog.
Okay, was that good?
Oh, they are so good. So they're lamb and beef, and they're wrapped in bacon. And then they top it with crispy onions, and they have all these different sauces, like a whole bar of sauces to put on it. Our tour guide stopped at a gas station that has a restaurant, and she's like, listen, I know it's a gas station, but trust me.
Honey, I get some of my best food at the gas station. I'm serious. I do. I could take y'all on a tour right now, get you some soul food, get you some Spanish food, get you some Thai food, and get you some Greek food. Yes, I could. And then find some Caribbean food at the next one. So yes, I believe it. So don't sleep on the gas stations.
That was really good. And then we also had a really fancy meal. So the restaurant in my hotel is called the Heathen, which is inside of the Grandi Center Hotel, and they are in pursuit of a Michelin star recognition. So you know it was top level. Delicious. I had a grilled unagi glazed pork neck with a chimichurri and bok choy. We had beet carpaccio, Arctic char. I had a deconstructed tiramisu. Delicious.
We ate good, as the people would say.
Oh, we ate good, real good. That was a really nice restaurant. It's a little more upscale. But so you're gonna find seafood everywhere. Now, I did try some of the traditional Icelandic things like herring, cured lamb. I had reindeer, goose, and pork pate.
Okay.
I kind of don't have to do that one again, but I tried it. I was there. I wanted to experience it. They also have a lot of like cheeses that are like they are special Icelandic cheeses with a history and a story to them. Some of them are really funky, as Andrew Zimmern would say. And then some of them were creamy and really good. There was all types to try.
Well, did you bring any of them back, or was that just too hard to bring back?
That was too hard to bring back. The only thing you can really bring back is Icelandic chocolate and maybe some Icelandic beer. Pro tip, when you travel, even if you don't think you're a beer drinker, try the local beer if they are a place known for their water. Okay. Iceland has amazing quality pure glacier water. So that's what their beers are made from. So their beers are actually really good.
Okay. So let me tell you, I got to tell you that I am looking forward to the Goin Places Icelandic tour. So let's get working on it. But I also want to thank you for taking us along on your journey. It was amazing. It really was.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure. And when we go, I'm going to take you to Valdi ice cream.
Okay.
They have so many flavors. It was delicious. I love the pistachio. That was my favorite.
Okay. So, Lauren, somebody asked me a question. I got to ask you, what's next?
Well, what's next? I've been to Baja, Mexico for the second time this year, but this trip was a wellness-centered spiritual trip. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you about my glamping experience on the island of Espiritu Santos.
Well, we can't wait, Lauren Gate, but we're glad you're back home, and we thank you for going places with us, for us. We love wherever you go, so we can't wait to see what's next. Until next time, happy holidays, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
When we come back, we'll talk with Dr. Nabuki about adopting a senior pet right after this.
Welcome to Coffee Speaks and Tea Talks. What is your coffee saying? This time of year, we're always thankful and wish we should be every day, but we're more thoughtful and we're more thankful around this season. So I want you to remember that you should enjoy life one cup at a time.
grateful for all of the experiences and travel I've been able to have this year. I'm especially grateful for the trip I was able to take my son on to swim with the whale sharks and bring that full circle from him seeing them as a child to 10 years later as an adult. So those moments are just really special as an empty nester parent to have those adventure moments with my son. I'm very grateful for that.
The pet vet is back in the house. Dr. Nabuki talks with us about senior pets. Take a look.
It's National Adopt a Senior Pet Month. Okay.
Yep.
Now, if you want to adopt a senior, I'm available. But anyway, but we have both Buddy and Eddie. Buddy's a senior, Eddie's a newbie. And so Eddie's been really good right about now because he's taking his big brother's lead.
That's right.
So let's talk about this. How hard is it to introduce a newbie when there's a senior pet in the house?
It could be a little difficult, mainly because the senior pet is established, and so they like things a certain way, you know? So when you're introducing a little Spitfire like this guy, it can, change the routine, all right? So you want to do it gradually. You want to do it over a few weeks so you get to know each other. You want to make sure when they're interacting that you're there with them so that they have supervision. It's just like kids. Like
Right.
I'm saying this, I'm like, it's just like having kids. But yeah, you want to make sure you're there in case they tussle or rumble a little bit. But usually after a few weeks of seeing you interact with them, knowing that, hey, this new pet is not going anywhere, that they're going to be staying here, they'll usually acclimate and become siblings and wrestle in a good way after that. Yeah.
Okay. So it won't be as aggressive as before, like you said, territorial.
Right.
So now,
Yeah.
how do we get them to like each other a little bit more? You said there are a couple of tricks that we can use.
Definitely. So here in our market, we have a lot of dog treats, okay? And we love giving those for positive reinforcement. So when he's doing his good things because he knows what's going on, and you've got another pet in the house, you want to make sure to give that other one treats as well, and then they're having a good time together. Okay, so the more good experiences they have, the faster they're going to bond together, and the faster they're going to love each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've often thought about this. Do senior pets get dementia?
They do. So they will get dementia. You'll often find that they'll stare off a little bit, like they're looking for something, they just don't know what it is, or sometimes they'll get lost as well. But there are some things you can do at home for that.
Okay.
You can add fish oils to their food.
Okay.
Pet safe fish oils, which we have here in our market to give. You can also add, there's a brain diet as well, but you have to go in, see your vet, make sure your pet's healthy for it, and then we can actually prescribe it to you or your pet, and they can eat it. It actually helps with their brain chemistry.
Okay, so you bring up a good point. There will be people who will decide they're going to try things without talking to the vet first.
Yeah.
So talk to your vet first.
Don't trust Dr. Google. Talk to your vet first.
Okay. So when the senior takes its territorialness and kind of hands it over and says, we're welcome, how do you then ensure that this relationship is going to be a good thing?
So it's always key to start it off on the right foot.
Right.
So
Okay.
like I was
Like
saying,
that.
you have to make sure to do positive reinforcement initially to establish that relationship. And then once they bond with you, once they bond with each other and they trust each other, then they should be okay as long as you're watching them. Now, again, you got to watch out though, because they may team up and get into trouble together as well.
Wow,
Because
that's a good point.
yeah, because now this little one's going to push the limits. The old one already knows the limits,
Right.
but the new one's going to push it. So you still have to supervise them and stuff, and just know, just like kids, they're going to be getting into mischief. So you got to keep your eyes on them, and if you can't, then have them in their little area or their room or their kennel, and so where it's nice and safe. And then make sure you put lots of toys and treats in there so they know it's a good experience.
Okay, so we didn't talk about this when we started the segment. Let's talk real quick about where we are.
We are at Royal Pets Daycare, which is fantastic, not only for young animals, but also for oldies as well, because it's really good to get exercise throughout their entire life. And here at Royal Pets, we make sure that they get enough exercise, they don't get too much so they're not sore or anything like that, and then they can rest in our nice, cool indoor kennels and relax, have a good time.
Okay. Dr. Luke, as always, you've been insightful, and the more you tell us, the more pet owners will know. We appreciate you as always. Say goodbye, guys.
Aww.
Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. I'm ready for my close-up.
When we come back, I'll introduce you to Dr. Ricc Saylor, who says that not one child should ever be left behind. It's National Adoption Month, and we'll be talking about that right after this.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome to Coffee Speaks and Tea Talks. What is your coffee saying? This time of year, we're always thankful and wish we should be every day, but we're more thoughtful and we're more thankful around this season. So I want you to remember that you should enjoy life one cup at a time.
As a child who was adopted, I am forever grateful to my parents who thought enough to give me a forever home. This month is National Adoption Month. With me is my dear friend, Dr. Ricc Saylor from One Church, One Child. She's the executive director. Doc, welcome to Goin Places. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be with you this evening and to just talk a little bit about the critical need and the purpose of national adoption, which is to increase national awareness of the adoption issues, to look at bringing attention to the need for adoptive families, for teens, for sibling groups, for children who have medical needs, as well as other children who are waiting. But these are the most critical groups of children waiting to be adopted.
Yeah, I heard you say the word critical more than once. So let's talk about how critical it really is.
When we look at numbers, currently we have 4,442 children in Florida who are waiting without a family identified to adopt them. While in the last fiscal year, 3,888 children were placed for adoption, children continue to come into foster care and being made available for adoption. So there is an ongoing need to have families coming to the table. And I think to give these children the same kind of experience you had, a loving family who would give them hope and give them a greater opportunity in life, and to know that all is not lost, but that there's someone waiting out there for them. And so this is really, really important. We ask families to think about this, to consider, to open their hearts, to open their homes, to include another child, to look at, in Florida, we have increased numbers of siblings coming in, and we're not talking small numbers. It's not two children. We're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6 children, coming in together. So there is a tremendous need. And, we think about the fact that children have lost everything else except themselves. So we don't need to be separating them. We need to try to keep these children together. So we're looking for homes for the sibs. We're looking for homes for the teenagers. When you look at the fact that teenagers, the 13 to 17-year-old category, about 10% of them getting adopted, that's just not enough.
No, it's
That
not.
is not enough. All of these children, every child deserves to have a family and a home. So our push tonight, and as part of the National Adoption Celebration and Recognition, is to bring more focus, greater focus and awareness to communities about what's happening, and to say, let us not leave these children in foster care. Let us not have these children aging out of foster care. Their parents' rights have been terminated. They need a family. They don't need to be alone.
They deserve a family. Let's just put it out there. They deserve a family.
Absolutely. You are correct. Every child absolutely should have the loving care of a family.
Yes.
That is the right thing to do.
So
as human beings, we have a responsibility to one another.
So let me ask you this: if there's that single person that wants to, that has a good job, that all the boxes are checked, are they potential or considered parents?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Married folks can adopt, single people can adopt. Absolutely. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to own your own home. You can rent. That's fine. You know, you have lots of people who raise families in various situations, you know, but as long as a family can provide a loving, stable environment for a child to grow up in, that's really what we're looking for. You know, if a family can meet its own needs and have a little extra to share with someone else, that's what we're looking for. You know,
extra will make a big difference in the life of some young child. I will tell you, Doc, that for me, I shudder to think, and I think I said this to you when we talked on the phone, I shudder to think where I would have been had it not been for Allie and Ricc Rollins. I don't know where I would be. And so oftentimes I think about my sisters and brothers universally who are still looking to be adopted. And so this was my small way, and I commit to you that I'm going to find bigger ways to help you in the upcoming year. I promise you that, because I know how this changed my life. I know what it was like to have a family who loved me and didn't need, I mean, literally, one day I wasn't, and the next day I was. And on February 14th, 1963, my gotcha date on Valentine's Day, here I was. And so I'm grateful for that. And so therefore, if we can spread the word. So I want you to reiterate once again, you can be single, you can be married, you don't have to be wealthy, and you don't have to have a house as long as you have a home.
Absolutely. You are correct. And that's exactly what we're looking for. And to remember that if you're willing to take on and love and care for a child, that's what we're looking for. That's what these children need. They need love, care. They need attention. They need some patience. We understand that when children have been removed from their families, they've lost everything. So you expect them to have to grieve.
Yes.
You know, we all grieve as we experience loss, and that's a loss for these children when they've lost their families. But, you know, we just need other families to say, hey, we can do this. We're willing to give a child or some children an opportunity, a sibling group, even a child who has some medical needs, and want families to know that along with the children, their medicals will be provided. There are also adoption subsidy, that's financial assistance, and also their college. Any children adopted from the state's foster care system, if they will attend a public university, a community college, or vocational school, their tuitions will all be paid by the state of Florida, so they'll be covered.
That's good to know.
Can be of help.
Okay, so that's good to know. One last question: how can they find out more about One Church, One Child, and adopting that young person who's waiting for a forever home?
If they will contact our office again at area code 850-414-5620, or just access our website at www.ococfl.org. And they can also email us at info@ococfl.org, and we will certainly answer any questions and get families started in the process.
I love this. Let's get some families started. Doc, I thank you for being here with us today. We look forward to seeing you go places in the next year, putting children in a home after home after home, and children in homes.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you again. We appreciate this working together on behalf of these children. Certainly, it can make a tremendous difference to get the word out.
Welcome to Coffee Speaks and Tea Talks. What is your coffee saying? This time of year, we're always thankful and wish we should be every day, but we're more thoughtful and we're more thankful around this season. So I want you to remember that you should enjoy life one cup at a time.
And as you age, so most of us know somebody or have a family member with diabetes. So
the sugar.
The sugar, yes. So that puts you at higher risk for developing it. And let's start your plate off with greens, leafy greens to start with. If you think about making half your plate a colorful vegetable.
So greens.
Some greens, maybe a salad.
So, yeah. Well, now I eat salad. Now we
salad.
swim every now and then, but I know it shouldn't swim. It should just ever so grazed by the drink. I get it.
Yeah, salad. But then you think about a meat, and then if you think of your plate in quarters, like you're doing a pie in quarters, then that quarter is where you put a carbohydrate.
Okay. And give me some good carbos, some carbos. What are those?
So ones that are good that may have sort of the good carbs. That could be broccoli.
Okay, I like broccoli.
That could be cauliflower.
I'm getting
You can mix it. You can mix it in. Squash.
Okay.
Squash.
Hey, hold on, Dr. Tracy. Let's do this. We cannot do this justice. Next week, Dr. Tracy comes back to join us post Thanksgiving.
Yes.
To do to get it right.
Well, we're almost out of time, but before we go, I want to share my own gratitude moment. I'm thankful for 2 parents who adopted me when my mother, a single mother, really didn't know what to do with me. I'm grateful to Dolores for having the good sense of the heart to give me to Jesse and Allie. I also am grateful for the best gift, my one and only, my daughter Jessica Ryan Rollins. And lastly, I'm grateful to you, the viewers who watch us every single week, and to the cast and crew that make this show what it is. On behalf of everyone here at Going Places, we wish you the happiest of holidays. We want you to be blessed on the journey, and we'll see you next time. Take care.